Greetings. This is Doc Ock coming at you live and direct from Black Facts Headquarters Central tonight with another installment of Doc Ock at noon and 9. Let's see what stories we've got for you today. I've got an interesting one for you. Definitely interesting. Yes, in more ways than one. So, proverb for tonight is, many people fear knowledge. Knowledge stimulates change, and most people fear change. Nobody wants to change. And that's a proverb from the mind of Brother Hakeem Matabuti, otherwise known as Don L. Lee. Okay, and our Black Fact for tonight. Let's see what we got for the Black Fact for tonight. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, Black Fact for tonight is, I don't recall answering this one here. Well, let's make sure I answer this one, and then I'll give you another one. Who became the first Black female mayor? Wait a minute, there's another one here too. Wow, did I forget these? It's like I missed a couple of them. Let me see here. Oh, I know where we were at. Okay, so make sure I answer this one here. When? Yeah. When was the first protest against segregation by riding a bus through the South with black and white folks together? And that one, the answer is, if I'm not mistaken, approximately 1943. It's right around in there. It's early 1940s, not past 1948. But it was called the Journey of Reconciliation. So if you want to check my dates on that one, you can check it under the Journey of Reconciliation. Journey of Reconciliation. And I'll double check here while we're live streaming. Meanwhile, so I gave you we did the proverb and we did the Black Fact for tonight. And then I'll give you a new one before we go. Meanwhile, let's get started with our story tonight. And tonight, our story is about a man with a very interesting name for a black man. With a very interesting name. His name happens to be George Washington. See, and I bet you went for the wrong last name. I bet you thought I was going to say George Washington Carver, but that's not what I'm going to say. I'm going to talk about George Washington Williams. Yes, and for those of you who love watching movies, some of these old movies that have been remade, like Tarzan recently was, you may recall that Tarzan had more than just a monkey and a woman with him in his latest life. He also had a man with him by the name of George Washington Williams, and the role was played by none other than Samuel the Man Jackson. That's right. Samuel the Man Jackson played the role of George Washington Williams, a real life African-American, quote unquote, hero and all around good guy. Now, let me tell you. So what I'm going to tell you about tonight is about this man, George Washington Williams. And by the way, just as I was checking my facts there, as it turns out, Journey of Reconciliation was 1947. I knew it was right around in there. So at any rate, here is a photograph of George Washington Williams, because he came of age during the time when photography was just coming into being. So you can see a photo of the man himself right there, George Washington Williams, on the cover of one of our books. It's part of the Black Facts series of books that we have. This is a collegiate edition, so you can see It's quite thick. This is an 800. Is it 800? Yeah, this is, well, it's not quite 800. It's only 700. About 700-page book. And the topic is Ohio's Black History. And this is volume number 26. So that just gives you an idea of how many volumes, Black Facts volumes, we put out so far on a wide variety of topics, from Black athletes to everything else. And so this has all kinds of information about Ohio's Black history right here in this one volume. And I will be putting that into our eBay store. I was working on that last night. I'm still working on it. I did get one item up last night. It's going to take a little bit, but I'll be working on it, steadily working on getting some more items up in our eBay store, which you can find at Black Facts, the same name you see back here behind me every night. So George Washington Williams. Now, I'm not going to read his story out of this. I have information on him in this book, but I'm going to read it out of this one over here because I've got a condensed version over here that I can do in just the amount of time that we have available tonight. So George Washington Williams, soldier, diplomat, historian. And again, he has a drawing over here of George Washington Williams as well. It's an artist rendition of George Washington Williams, right? So he lived during the time period from 1849. He was born 1849, died in the year 1891. So he just barely made it to the 50-year mark. Don't let me forget my glasses here so I can read easily. And he is someone, as you can see, because I had him on this volume about Ohio's Black history, he is somebody that's connected with the great state of Ohio. Into his brief 42 years, I had that time period wrong. Into his brief 42 years, George Washington Williams crammed several lifetimes. At the age of 14, he was serving in the 6th Massachusetts Regiment of the Union Army. Because of his youth, he was discharged, but he promptly re-enlisted and became a sergeant major on the staff of General N.P. Jackson, serving in Texas. Williams was wounded, discharged again, and then joined the Mexican Army. Oh, wow, he really wanted to be in the Army. After less than a year in the Mexican Army, Williams resigned and joined the U.S. Cavalry and took part in the Comanche campaign, where he served with conspicuous bravery. So that would make him what? A Buffalo Soldier, of course. You should have known that was coming, right? During each term of service, Williams was noted for his courage and bravery. Because he was passed over as a candidate for the officer corps of the regular army, Williams resigned from the army altogether. He was only 20 years old and still saw his future before him. Upon leaving the army, George Washington Williams enrolled in the Newton Theological Institution. It's now formulated as a seminary, where in 1874 he became the first Negro to graduate. After a few years as a pastor of the 12th Street Church in Boston, Massachusetts, he left Massachusetts for D.C., where he started a newspaper called The Commoner. John Mercer Langston and Frederick Douglass, among others, contributed articles to it, but due to inadequate circulation, The Commoner failed. Undaunted by this failure, Williams then went to Cincinnati, Ohio, and was named minister of the Union Baptist Church, which he served for 2 years. He continued his newspaper interest, having articles appear in the Cincinnati Commercial and Southwestern Review. He even started reading law in the office of Alfonso Taft, a forebear of the present day Tafts. In 1879, Williams was admitted to the Ohio bar and also elected to the Ohio State Legislature for a term of 2 years. So he was Ohio's first African-American legislator, if I'm not mistaken. While in Ohio, Williams developed a deep interest in what they called then Negro history. From 1876 to 1883, Williams diligently carried on his investigations of the Negro's past and finally published his 2-volume history of the Negro race in America from 1619 to 1880. The work created great excitement in scholarly circles and was generally regarded as the best book on Negro history published during the 19th century. 5 years later, Williams published his history of Negro troops in the War of Rebellion. That would be the Civil War. That's what we call the Civil War. In 1883, George Williams visited the Congo. This is where the Tarzan part comes in. And he wrote an article very critical of the Belgians' stewardship there. He served with distinction as United States Minister Resident to Haiti in 1885 to 1886. He died in 1891 while living in, where else but Blackpool, England. I never heard of Blackpool before. But certainly George Washington Williams, a man of high standards, a man of great accomplishments, not a very long life, but he did what he can with the time that he had here. That's what was important. So George Washington Williams. So now you know a little bit about George Washington Williams. So it's up to you now to find his books. Okay, you heard about 2 of them there. One was the history of the Negro in America, and the second one was about what was it about blacks in the War of the Rebellion? How did it go? Let's see what page is it on. Let's see here. Go back to that one more time. It was on, the history of Negro troops in the War of Rebellion. So he was outlining what did black people do in the military during the War of Rebellion, in which he fought himself. Well, I don't think he joined the military until the War of Rebellion may have already been over, because it didn't look like, from what they said here, they said he served in Texas. So it sounded like the war might have been over already. It said he was what? It said 15 years old when he first got in. So 1849, add 15. So that's 50, 65. Yeah, the war had just ended when he enlisted in the army. The War of the Rebellion, or the Civil War, had just ended. So he got into the army. Said he got in the Union Army though, didn't it? So we got in the Union Army. Maybe he got in right at the very tail end of the Civil War. So these are the kinds of little historical minutia that I go back and forth in my head about, and then I go and research it if I can't determine the answer right off the bat. And from this thing here, it wasn't real clear, but they did say he joined the Union Army. So that gave us a clue right there. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, there it goes. It said he joined the 6th Massachusetts Regiment, at the age of 14. So right at the end, right as the war was about to end, that's when he enlisted. Right as the war was about to end, because he joined up in the Union Army, and then you heard there that he was in a couple other stints in the U.S. Army, as well as in the Mexican, and then he was in the cavalry, and that's how this relates back to our theme of African adventures, because he adventured over to the Congo, he adventured down into Mexico, and he was in the cavalry, so he was definitely using a horse on land. I don't think he did so much running around in the jungle with Tarzan, and I don't think he met Tarzan, because Tarzan is a fictional character, so that would be hard. Okay, no, I don't think so. So, but if you get a chance, just check the movie and see how they portray him in the movie, and then try to get a hold of his 2 books. One about the history of the Negro in America, and then the second one on the history of African or Negroes in the War of the Rebellion. Those are the two books. Meanwhile, let's go back to our questions here. Okay, make sure we get all these questions answered, because I want to get these out the way Sometimes I forget about these, about coming back for the answer. I get so excited about what I'm doing here. So we said we had a question about, Journey of Reconciliation. We answered that one already. We said the Journey of Reconciliation was 1947. And as it turned out, one of my cousins was on that bus. And he was on the bus with, I can't think of his name. He was one of the organizers. The person he was on the bus with was one of the organizers of the March on Washington, Bayard Rustin. He was on that same bus with Bayard Rustin. So there were a number of black folks on there, a number of white folks. They were testing the new law that I believe President Eisenhower, either Eisenhower or Truman, had enacted this law about the need to have integrated transportation, that no matter who you were, you should be able to use the transportation facilities, etc., without having to be in a segregated situation. And so they were testing that rule out to see if they could actually accomplish that riding through the South. The main reason you don't hear about the Journey of Reconciliation, stopped by the police, jailed, beaten, the bus burned. Those things didn't happen in 1947. That didn't happen later until the 50s. And so oftentimes the Journey of Reconciliation has been looked over like it never even really happened. Although there is a book on it, and I did get the book. I haven't read that one yet, but I'll be reading that book as well. And I'll tell you more about my cousins, because they have a story all of their own that should be told as well. And then the question for tonight is, did Jane M. Bolin become the U.S.'s first black female judge or district attorney? Okay, so I'm going to dog ear this page so I remember which Black Facts questions we were on tonight and make sure to answer that one tomorrow. So I answer that at the beginning tomorrow and give you a new one so we can kind of catch up here, because we've fallen a little bit behind. Meanwhile, all you sleepyheads out there, you know what it's time to do. Take those sleepyheads, lay your little head down on your little pillow, on your little bed, close those eyes, and wait for that sun to rise. And when you see that big old ball up in the sky, go ahead, and that's when it's time to open up your eye. Arise and shine. Greet the new day. Let's see if we can do it in an even better way than we did today. And as for all you adults, I'm making more ways for you to support Black Facts. And so if you go to my Facebook page or you go to the website, www.blakfacts.org, you can find a link there that'll take you directly to a donation page where you sign up to have everything that you buy on Amazon that you're going to buy already anyway, that a percentage of that money goes from Amazon directly to Black Facts. It doesn't add anything to your bill, so you're not paying for it. You're just asking Amazon, you're directing Amazon as to how to make their annual donations to charity. And we are a charity. We are a charitable organization, 501c3 officially. That's what I'm doing over here for you. Okay, we're doing, so if you can do something for me, I'll do something for you. So go ahead, make those donations. You can make it a direct donation if you like. If you like to bypass Amazon, make a direct donation on Facebook, or you can make a donation on our donation page at the website. Same area, you'll find the link to Amazon. So you can do both on either way you want to do it, on Facebook or on Amazon. So we appreciate all your support. We love to see you all out there waving at us tonight. I see you out there, Fadia, and there's somebody else there. Is Janice. Hi, Janice. How you doing? Okay. Thank y'all for your support, and we hope you got something out of our story for the night, as well as our proverb and our Black Fact. And we'll look for you all tomorrow. Remember, we're doing our weekly review, and we'll be doing that for all of our children's presentations tomorrow. So look for that at noon. And I've got a special interview I'm going to be putting up tonight that you can watch either tonight or early tomorrow, however you like. It's a 1-hour interview between of myself by a young brother that I went to school with by the name of Vince Robinson. So check that out. It'll be on, is it on Facebook? It's not on Facebook. So look for that on Facebook. All right. Peace out without a doubt. We'll be back here tomorrow for the weekly review. So make sure to tune in at 12 o'clock noon. And if we don't see you before, we'll see you at noon. Peace out without a doubt.